Please follow these safety guidelines. Always follow proper safety procedures to avoid personal injury while performing vehicle maintenance. Perform this installation only when your car is off and the engine is cold. Check your vehicle manufacturer's owner's manual for additional instructions. How to install Autolite spark plugs. Difficulty level 3. Time to complete 60 to 90 minutes. To complete this installation, you'll need a set of Autolite spark plugs, a ratchet set with extensions, a spark plug socket, and a spark plug feeler gauge. Autolite recommends using premium spark plugs like Autolite XP Extreme Performance, Autolite Double Platinum, or Autolite Platinum spark plugs for optimum engine performance, helping to avoid engine misfires, increased emissions, and elevated fuel intake. It's best to replace spark plugs by completing the installation one at a time. This will ensure that the correct firing order of the engine is maintained. Before removing the old spark plugs, use air pressure to clean any debris from the plug area to prevent dirt from falling into the cylinder and causing engine damage. Then, break the boot loose by twisting it 90 to 180 degrees. Grab the base of the boot firmly and remove it. Never pull it out by the wire. Next, place the spark plug socket over the spark plug and remove it. Some spark plugs can be more difficult to reach than others and may require using various extensions and swivel joints to get around the engine components. Once the plug is removed, inspect the spark plug tips to see if there's any indication that the engine has any problems. Bad plugs can cause overheating, rough running, power loss, and even engine failure. Use this reference chart, which you can find on Autolite.com, as a guide to help spot any engine problems. Before installing the new plug, check the gap. Autolite spark plugs come pre-gapped from the factory, but should be checked to ensure the gap is not changed. Use a round feeler gauge to measure the gap between the center and ground electrode. The gauge should pass through snugly but easily. Gap new plugs as specified by the vehicle's owner's manual. If it's incorrect, bend the side wire to increase or decrease the gap until the correct gap is reached. Install the new spark plug by hand until it's tight. If the plug starts to go in too hard, use a thread chaser to clean the threads. Hand tightening first will help prevent stripping the threads on the cylinder head. If needed, use a piece of hose to help extend your reach. Then, using a torque wrench, tighten the spark plug, making sure to follow the manufacturer's torque specifications. If you don't have a torque wrench, use this reference chart, which you can find on Autolite.com, for hand tightening recommendations. Before reconnecting the plug boots, examine them. If the exposed part of the boot is covered in oil, be sure to have the leak repaired to help extend spark plug and wire life. Also, check to see if the boot is brittle or cracked, and look for corrosion on the connector inside of the boot. If any of these conditions exist, replace all of the engine's spark plug wires with a new spark plug wire set. Autolite Professional Series wire sets provide the proper fit, form, and functionality to keep your vehicle performing at its best. Firmly grasp the spark plug boot and push it over the spark plug until the terminal engages. An audible click indicates that the boot's seated securely. Now continue one plug at a time, repeating these steps for each spark plug on the engine. After all of the plugs have been installed, make sure all of the spark plug wires are properly routed. They should not be in contact with a manifold or any other engine parts that can cause damage. Now, start the engine. If it misfires or idles roughly, shut off the engine and check that all connections are seated securely. Make sure that none of the wires are crossing and that the current firing order matches the order found in your vehicle's service manual. Autolite recommends that do-it-yourselfers follow all original equipment manufacturers' recommendations on spark plug change intervals and use the previous instructions as a guide for changing spark plugs.